questions? Okay.
All right. Hey,
thank you very much.
Please grab me on the break, and I'll be happy to discuss more.
Yeah, cool. So for our next speaker, Juha. Probably for the Finnish crowd, no introduction needed, but for the people on the interwebs, which can't hear me right now,
hello world.
the introduction yourself.
Yes, my name is Juha Hotti, working in mobile strategy, on mobile strategy on the strategy and digital development team here in Sanoma Media Finland. I'm telling you a little bit about the mobile, and since the previous speaker didn't have any slides, I doubled my amount.
Great.
It should work. So a lot of familiar stuff, or at least for the Finnish audience, but let's recap and let's talk about something else as well. Wow, technology. So here I work practically in two teams, strategy and digital development here in Sanoma Media Finland. I work on mobile and device strategy and on the partnerships as well with the device manufacturers, such as Nokia, Microsoft and Samsung. I also belong to Legal Privacy Center of Expertise, and there I'm looking after the location data at targeting and mobile analytics. I've been into quite many teams already at Sanoma, in Helsinki Sanoma Development, Sanoma Data, New Business Development, now in this strategy team. So what's happening currently? You might have seen this picture. It's 2005, the PayPal conclave in Vatican, and people are taking photos with these funny devices. They're not like connected, even they're these old school cameras. Then 7 years passed, and the same happening looked exactly like this. And there's a little difference between those two of these pictures. No need to explain. Then the presidential inauguration, 2009 and 2013. Even the president and his family were totally hooked up, concentrating on other things. And this is a familiar picture from public transport and wherever you go currently. But it's today. So how our company in Finland is doing in mobile. We have 3 million weekly mobile visitors coming from mobile browsers and mobile applications. We've got around 100 million weekly mobile page views, and it's been going up all the time. The latest figures from April told us that it went a little bit down, but because we had an Easter and holidays. So in total, 4 million app downloads to date in Finland only. And in April, 54% of all online traffic came from mobile, and that is going up all the time. This is the traffic development within the past 2 years. Red is desktop, blue is mobile, and gray is tablet. It's going up. But the device traffic share is more interesting. This is just a fresh slide, it came today. So we went past 50% already. And the two peaks you can see there are the Christmas periods, 2012 and 2013. And whenever that Christmas peak happens, it means, of course, that people are not in the office, so they cannot use the desktop browsers, but they're using mobile instead. And that Christmas peak, which goes up like 10% on 1 week, it's the standard level on February. And now we're on April, we've gone past the Christmas peak already. This is the mobile phone use cycle during the day. As I think every one of you have seen the desktop daily cycle, it goes so that when people are out to offices, they open their browsers and they do funny things on the working time. And then when they leave the office, the traffic dies. But in mobile, the traffic is peaking all day. So mobiles are with us all the time. It's not just when you are at the office, but when you are especially waking up in the bed, when you are heading for a lunch, when you are commuting on public transport, and especially when you go to sleep. So as we have studied, most of the people use their phones in the bed, and that's not even a lie. When you wake up, you read the news, and when you go to sleep, you read the news. So Windows Phone, welcome to Finland, internet viewers as well. We are a very Windows Phone specific country. The next slide will show you the usage shares, but when we preloaded the application into the Windows Phone on Nokia Lumia devices, the Windows Phone app traffic went skyrocketing, and it's been doing that all the time. Our apps are preloaded in every single Nokia Lumia device that are sold in Finland. So practically every Lumia customer uses our app at least once, and hopefully even more. It's been a very successful partnership with Nokia. But on the device proportions in the traffic, 68% of the app traffic comes from Windows Phone. And browser games is a bit even between Android, iPhone, Windows Phone, but the app traffic is quite huge. And I hope I don't need to judge anymore why Finland is so much concentrating on the Windows Phone. It's not that iPhone and Android is not important, because they are, but currently the traffic is coming from Windows Phone. One nice thing that we have taken steps forward currently is a set of client libraries we call SaNomaKit. So we noticed that we have a lot of features that should be the same in different applications, whether they are Helsinki Sanomat app or Ilta-Sanomat app or any other app. We use advertising in most of them. We use analytics in all of them. There are a lot of features that we use in every single app. And instead of programming the features from the scratch, again to all applications, we decided to make a library out of them. And that's now under work. We are going to have the MVP version of the SaNomaKit ready by July 1st. It will contain the big data library Sanoma Analytics Collector and doing the mobile targeting capabilities. But in the future stages, anything that we see important can be included in SaNomaKit. App rating requests, then Sanoma account, native video player, and different ways how to ask consent from people, especially for location or ad targeting or sending push notifications. So this will come after the vacations, hopefully. Then my next topic is about quality and privacy. Incident is a standard word, but it's not that hard. Something has happened lately. We had this one mobile app, and since it was a mobile app, it was small and it was easy to do, and it was very like lots of fun to do. We only tested it on the UI level, and the app worked very well, and it looked good, and it was very responsive and stuff. So we preloaded it to hundreds of thousands of devices. Then some months passed, and everything still worked well. But then the device manufacturer called us, and do you know that why your app is taking like 1 gigabyte of the device memory? And well, we didn't know. But they have discovered out that the app didn't flush the cache at any time. So whenever app refreshed the news feed or the content, it just added it to the same cache. So the device memory was consumed in some months, and it was a time bomb for device manufacturer. And this was a very good use case for us that, well, the apps need to be tested professionally, and not just that it looks good and it works well, but for months of usage in ordinary phones, it might do some funny stuff. Second funny thing was that we had an app live for 3 years. We didn't do any security audits because we thought that there's no need to. But then we recently discovered that the app is communicating all the passwords and user credentials, not over HTTPS, but in a plain text in a non-secure protocol. We should maybe had looked at it before, but we did. And now we know that we are doing the security audits for, at least for the most important applications. Then we also discovered that we might collect more data than what we actually wanted. And this is not a huge issue because it's been live there and we are not misusing any data. But let's say that location data is quite sensitive for any one of you. And whenever we collect location data, we want to keep it anonymous, at least if we store it for days or weeks or even years. But then we noticed that, okay, there's this one analytic call that actually reports all the user coordinates to the analytics servers, where we have no use for them, but where they can be connected to a cookie and an identifier, and then at last to the user itself. And we are saving that data for infinite period of time. That's not what we wanted to do, and yeah, this is something that the privacy team and privacy protocols are taking into account in the future. Sanoma's privacy mission is to bring value to customers through optimal use of data while maintaining trusted relationship. So privacy wants to enable all business demands and develop our business further. But we still want to tell customers that we are a trusted partner with them, and we want to openly and transparently tell that how we are using the data and how the user can control the data that we are collecting. Key trends at the consumer privacy attitudes at this moment are that consumers are willing to share their data with brands that they trust. And as Sanoma, we want to stay as a trusted company. Trust is created through openness and transparency about data use. This is about privacy policies, and whenever we are asking for a location consent so that user will send their coordinates to us, we must tell them how we are using them and what we are collecting and how we are storing the data. If we don't tell that, the user might think that, well, Sanoma is a bad company and they are saving my trails and they are tracking where I am, and then they are, you know what. Data sharing is a value exchange. Data sharing is just for the clear benefit. So if you are letting the application know your coordinates, there must be a clear use for that. It's not just that the apps want to have your coordinates, but the user doesn't know why. And consumers also want to be in control of the data they share. So in the apps, in mobile services, there must be user switches where these features can be turned off if user wants, because the other option can be so that the user deletes the app and never uses it again. Biggest concerns in consumer minds are the information security, identity theft, and unsolicited marketing, which is clear. Privacy by design is something that the Canadian Information and Privacy Commissioner Anne Cavoukian has developed. There are 7 principles. Privacy should be proactive, not reactive. So privacy people are trying to help businesses to help how to create services and apps. It's not just that when some bad things happen, then we come into the teams, but being rather preventative. And for the mobile services and for the web services as well, the privacy should be the default setting. No, not just that there are switches on and off, but they're off at the default, but more to like protect the user privacy at the first time. The whole privacy by design is explained here quite well. whenever we start to develop the services, we should take the privacy legislation and rules into account in the first stages, not so that we create a service and then we decide that are we actually doing this by the book or not. Full functionality, it means that when the privacy is taken into account in the service development, it should be a value-adding point in the service. So it's not trade-off that, okay, this will not do any money for us because we do this by the book. End-to-end security, of course. Then visibility and transparency is that we tell users what we are doing, how we are storing their data, and what we are doing with the data. And finally, respect for user privacy. So whatever we are doing, especially for the coordinates, we want to respect the coordinates and location data so that people trust us and there is not going to happen any, you know what, Apple was caught some years ago that they actually saved all the user coordinates where every user were moving and so on. So being respectful. Building privacy in mobile, there's some principles as well. Is to, of course, practice this privacy by design, but be communicating openly, making privacy policies easily accessible, and they should be readable in the enhanced notice that please tell the main points clearly in native language, not a lawyer language, so that people really understand what they are doing and what the service is doing. Users should be provided with choices and controls. We, as a service provider, should secure users' data, whatever we are doing with it. And accountability is the person who decides how this is going to happen. And when there comes incidents, they take the incidents they take the responsibility of the incidents. And also, if we are using any third-party services such as advertising, we should take into account that the third parties are also using the privacy features that we require. So some privacy actions going on at the moment. We are consolidating the privacy policies and consents. So how Sanoma apps are asking the location data and so on. This should be done in the same way in the applications. Then we are now concepting the first use flow. So whenever people are taking our apps into use for the first time, we have a similar way to get the privacy policies and terms and conditions approved. And we will tell people how we are collecting the data and sorry. And then at last, testing, security audits, and so on. So what's up in the future? Moore's law, I don't need to explain this to you. But the convergence is going fast forward, and the number of devices is going smaller. And I believe this is from the Microsoft's future vision video, that all the computing power will be in that mobile phone in the future. But instead of having different laptops and tablets, we will have different kind of screens and slates where the mobile phone is connecting to. But all the computing power and all our data is on the mobile phone. I took some points from the Nokia Siemens Networks Technology Vision 2020. They have very interesting views for what's happening in the next 6 years. So NSN believes that the mobile traffic is going 1,000-fold from now. 1 gigabyte of data per terminal per day. This will be achieved with new technologies and even more cell sites. The femtocell is an appliance that you take into your home and you get the mobile network there in your living room easily and nobody shares it. The latency in mobile networks will be decreased to millisecond level. It's now 100 milliseconds in 3G and 20 in LTE. The liquid app concept is quite interesting. It's something that NSN is bringing to the base station level. So instead of fetching the content from our data centers, we will bring the content in the base stations. And there will be no internet traffic. The mobile applications will get the content from the base station. And that will increase the capacity and speed of the mobile terminals. Self-aware network components is something that, when you live wherever you live, you go there for the night and you sleep. But when you come to the office in the working hours, people move, and the network capacity is needed where people work during the day, and during the night they will need it at the other areas. And NSN is creating this type of a network that it can dynamically adjust the capacity where people move. This is a very good thing. I think many of you have noticed that the 3G has some congestions and data doesn't work usually. Of course, the cloud is a hype word, and the teleoperators are going there as well. And the total energy consumption is going down. It means that it will be more, not that expensive for operators anymore to install new base stations. I think you've seen the classic picture of base station. It's a huge mast, and then there's a fence, and then there's some kind of building in the ground just next to the mast. And that was a generator. So 10 years ago, the base station needed a generator to do the electricity. But nowadays, the base station is just a computer box. It can be installed in the mast just next to antenna. It doesn't work with solar power yet, but the energy consumption has gone down a lot. But this is from the operator side. Last slides, Internet of Things is coming. Philips Hue lamps, which you can control with iPhone. Then we will have home appliances that run Android, that tells to your mobile phone what's in the fridge currently. Then we have Tesla cars and, any other cars that are connected to internet all the time. And even your body scales at home. So, you know what this means. It means that data is collected even more in the future, and we need to take the privacy into account. But we can also see this as an opportunity to make the data even more sophisticated and make more business out of it. I think my time has run. Mobile first. Thanks.
Any questions for you? Yes, I have one.
Are you already seeking for cooperation with the operators?
We are actually speaking with NSN quite a lot, but since NSN is not actually an operator, but it manufactures all the base stations and the network components that the operators are doing, we are not there yet with the operators because they are not there yet with NSN. But Finland is not a critical country in this sense, but we are having communication on the future topics.
Because of what period of time do you think our content will be maybe brought closer to the mobile networks? What's your opinion about that?
Well, what to guess? But we are the biggest service provider, the online provider in Finland. Not accounting Facebook and Google, but I think we are in the first tier whenever this happens, hopefully in a couple of years.
All right. Thanks.
Okay, thanks.
Any other questions? Okay, thanks a lot.